Dr. Chen Wei stared at the blinking lights of his time machine, a contraption that looked like a cross between a NASA space module and a high-end coffee maker. If only the world knew how much coffee had gone into this. A quick sip from his mug of lukewarm brew brought him back to reality. Today was the day. The day he would cheat time and rescue his daughter, Lily, from that fateful accident that had shattered his life. Time travel, huh? He muttered to himself. The ultimate rewind button. He chuckled nervously, glancing around his cluttered lab filled with half-finished experiments and pizza boxes from an unfortunate week of late nights. What could possibly go wrong? With a final breath, he punched in the coordinates, April 15, 2023, at 3 p.m., and pressed the big red button labeled "Do Not Press." Naturally, he pressed it. The machine whirred to life, lights flashing and a series of electronic beeps erupting like a toddler throwing a tantrum. Suddenly, he felt a sensation similar to being spun in a dryer full of bricks. Then, just as quickly, he landed on the grass of the park where Lily would be playing. Chen stumbled forward, disoriented. There she was, Lily, giggling as she chased after a butterfly, her hair a halo of sunshine. His heart ached with both love and regret. "Lily," he called, but the sound felt muffled, as if the universe was holding its breath. He rushed toward her, desperate to prevent the accident that would change everything. Just as he reached out, everything went wrong. A dog barked, a ball rolled, and Lily turned, eyes wide in surprise. "Daddy!" she exclaimed, her voice ringing with innocence. In his frantic effort to save her, Chen inadvertently knocked over an ice cream cart. The vendor, shocked, let go of the cart's brake. It rolled downhill like a runaway train, heading straight for his daughter. Time seemed to slow as Chen lunged to grab her. He succeeded, sort of. Instead of preventing the accident, he merely redirected the chaos. The cart collided with another, sending ice cream and sprinkles into the air like a sugary fireworks display. Lily was safe, but as the vendors erupted in a cacophony of shouts and laughter, Chen realized with horror he had just turned a tragic day into a comical disaster. With a frantic pulse in his veins, he returned to his lab, heart racing, convinced he could fix it. Back in the present, the world looked different. Instead of mourning, his wife, Ming, was laughing over the latest viral video of the ice cream incident. "Did you see that?" she chuckled, pointing at the screen. "What a mess. I love how they're handling it. Totally on brand for the park." "Right," Chen mumbled, his heart sinking. Lily's laughter had become a meme. His daughter was alive, but her innocence was now part of an internet joke. Defeated, he pondered the paradox. With every attempt to save Lily, he was only changing the nature of their grief, twisting it into something surreal. He couldn't escape the feeling that time itself was playing tricks on him, as if the universe had a twisted sense of humor. Days turned into weeks of frantic experiments. Chen tried again, this time armed with more knowledge and an awful lot of caffeine. He decided to travel back to the moment just before Lily's new catastrophe. His second attempt launched him into a chaotic ballet of fates, each step leading to an increasingly bizarre series of events. With a determined focus, he arrived back in the park. This time, Lily was on the swings, a giant grin plastered on her face. He stood back, bracing himself. The sky was a perfect blue, and everything seemed peaceful, until it wasn't. The swing set broke, sending Lily tumbling into a group of unsuspecting picnickers. Chen gasped as sandwiches and soda flew, and chaos erupted like a poorly staged comedy. "Daddy!" she screamed, and again he rushed forward, this time too late. As he attempted to save her, he slipped on a spilled drink, flailing dramatically before crashing into a cooler, sending it and its contents flying. When he returned home, the world had shifted again. Ming looked at him with a mixture of concern and irritation. "Chen, what's happening to you? You keep disappearing, and every time you come back, it's worse." "Lily's alive, though," he protested. She's not the same." Ming frowned, her expression shifting from worry to frustration. "Do you even see what's happening? Every time you change something, we lose a piece of ourselves." The tension simmered, and Chen realized she was right. His obsession was altering their lives, turning them into a tragicomic farce. Each trip through time peeled away layers of their humanity, and he was losing sight of what mattered most, the love he had for Lily and Ming, not the moments he couldn't control. But Chen, undeterred, prepared for one last attempt. He was going to go back to the day Lily was born, believing that if he could influence her existence from the very beginning, he could safeguard her future. The thought filled him with a wild mix of hope and dread. Just one more time, he whispered to himself, entering the time machine for what he hoped would be a final leap. The familiar sensations enveloped him as he was thrust back to the hospital, to that chaotic yet beautiful moment of new life. Standing in the sterile hospital room, he could hear the sounds of machines and soft coos from nurses. There, cradled in Ming's arms, was a tiny bundle of joy, Lily. Chen's heart swelled, but a gnawing realization settled in. In trying to protect his daughter, he might be robbing her of the experiences that made her who she was. As the moment unfolded, he realized he was standing at a precipice of fate. With each decision, he could change not only Lily's future but also the very essence of her being. He felt a weight in his chest, a deep understanding that life's beauty lay in its unpredictability, the pain intertwined with joy. In that moment, he made a choice. Instead of interfering, he leaned against the wall, tears streaming down his face, watching the miracle unfold before him. Lily's first cries, Ming's gentle smile, it was a tapestry of love that he had nearly unraveled in his frantic quest. When Chen finally returned to the present, he found himself in a quiet park, the air filled with the scent of blooming flowers. He saw families laughing, children playing, and a rush of warmth filled him. He had learned to embrace the fleeting nature of time, the laughter intertwined with tears. Ming was there, sitting on a bench, looking pensive. She glanced up as he approached, her eyes searching his face. "You're back," she said softly, the tension between them lifting. "I am," he replied, taking a seat beside her. "And I've realized something. Time isn't something to be manipulated. It's meant to be lived." Ming smiled, a tear escaping her eye. "You found her again, didn't you?" "In a way," he said, nodding toward the laughter of children. "I found us." As they sat together, hand in hand, they watched the world around them with newfound appreciation. Chen understood that the paradox of time was not just about fixing the past, it was about cherishing the moments that defined them. And sometimes, the best thing you could do was to let time run its course, allowing life to unfold in all its chaotic, beautiful glory. As they sat together, hand in hand, watching the world around them, Chen felt a warm breeze ripple through the park, carrying with it the laughter of children playing nearby. It was a simple sound, yet it resonated deeply within him, a reminder of everything he had fought to reclaim. "Do you remember the day Lily was born?" Ming asked, her voice soft but filled with nostalgia. Chen smiled, his mind drifting back to that chaotic hospital room, the sterile scent, the beeping machines, and the overwhelming rush of emotions as he first laid eyes on his daughter. "I was terrified," he admitted. "I felt completely unprepared." Ming chuckled, a light sound that seemed to fill the space between them. You kept trying to read the manual they gave us. Like parenting came with instructions. Hey, I wanted to make sure I didn't break her, he replied, his tone teasing but genuine. You were a natural from the start. We both learned, she said, squeezing his hand. Just like we learn every day, even now. The simplicity of her words struck him. It wasn't about mastering every moment or preventing every misstep, it was about embracing the journey together, with all its imperfections. They were all just trying to navigate the complexities of life, hand in hand, creating memories along the way. A sudden shout interrupted their reverie, a group of kids racing past them, their faces flushed with excitement. Chen's heart swelled at the sight of a little girl leading the pack, her hair bouncing as she ran. In that moment, she reminded him of Lily. He caught himself smiling, feeling a familiar pang of longing mixed with joy. Should we join them? He suggested, his voice brimming with spontaneity. Ming raised an eyebrow. Are you serious? Why not? We can't let them have all the fun. With a playful grin, he stood up and held out his hand to her. Ming hesitated for just a moment before her laughter bubbled over, and she took his hand, allowing him to pull her up. They joined the fray, running alongside the children, laughter spilling from their lips like music. Chen felt a rush of exhilaration, a reminder of the carefree days of youth. Each step was a declaration of life, of seizing the moment. As they ran, Chen noticed how the park came alive. Families gathered for picnics, couples strolled hand in hand, and the sound of a nearby band drifted through the air, adding a lively backdrop to the scene. It was as if the universe had shifted in his favor, filling every corner with joy. After a while, they flopped down onto a patch of grass, breathless and grinning like children themselves. Okay, maybe that was a bit much, Ming laughed, fanning herself with her hand. Or maybe we just need to work on our stamina, Chen replied, still catching his breath. He watched her, the way the sunlight danced in her hair, and he felt grateful for this moment, for the fact that they were here together. Remember when we used to dream about taking her to places like this? Ming said, her voice turning thoughtful. Chen nodded, his heart tightening with a mixture of longing and contentment. We had so many plans. Maybe we still do, she suggested, a hopeful glint in her eyes. Lily's out there somewhere. We can create new memories, ones that honor her spirit. The thought sent a rush of warmth through him. They could celebrate Lily not by trying to rewrite the past but by living fully in the present, cherishing the memories they had and making new ones. The idea felt liberating. Let's make a pact, he said, suddenly serious. To live each day with intention. To embrace whatever comes, the good and the bad. We owe that to ourselves, and to Lily. Ming's smile widened, and she nodded, squeezing his hand once more. I like that. A pact for the future. They spent the rest of the afternoon exploring the park, enjoying the small pleasures, a warm pretzel here, a scoop of ice cream there, even taking silly pictures with the kids they'd run with. Each moment felt like a small act of rebellion against the weight of the past. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over everything, Chen felt a sense of peace settle over him. The chaos of time travel, the heartache of loss, it all seemed to fade into the background. He was simply a father, a husband, sharing beautiful moments with the people he loved. Later that evening, as they sat together on their porch watching the sky change colors, Chen realized that while he couldn't change the past, he had the power to influence the present and the future. He could create a legacy of love and laughter that would carry Lily's spirit with them always. Ming, he said softly, turning to her. Do you think we can help others like us? Others who have lost? Her gaze met his, filled with understanding. I think we can. We can share our story, our journey, so others don't feel alone. There's so much healing in community. With a smile, he pictured them hosting gatherings, sharing memories, laughter, and even tears. They could build something meaningful, a place where people could connect and find solace in their shared experiences. As the stars began to twinkle overhead, Chen felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was no longer just a scientist obsessed with fixing time. He was a father dedicated to honoring his daughter's memory by embracing life in all its unpredictable beauty. In the weeks that followed, they began to lay the groundwork for a community support group, Living Memories, where families could come together to share their stories and find comfort in one another. They reached out to local organizations, setting up meetings and inviting speakers to share their experiences of loss and hope. It felt like an important step, a way to turn their pain into something meaningful. At the inaugural meeting, Chen stood at the front of a small but eager crowd, his heart racing. Ming sat beside him, offering quiet support. As he spoke, he felt the weight of his own story pour out, not as a burden but as a bridge to connect with others. I used to think that time travel would let me fix my mistakes, he began, his voice steady but emotional. But I've learned that the past is unchangeable. What we have is the present, and we can choose how we honor our loved ones. Together, we can create new memories that celebrate their lives. The room was silent, the air thick with shared understanding. One by one, people began to share their stories, each one unique yet connected through the common thread of loss. There were tears and laughter, moments of reflection and shared joy. Chen felt the power of community wrapping around them like a warm embrace, a realization that he was not alone in this journey. As the meeting came to a close, Chen looked around at the faces, many filled with a sense of hope. He and Ming had created a space where people could find solace in each other, a place where grief could be shared openly, transforming pain into healing. That evening, as they returned home, Chen felt lighter. The weight of his past was still there, but it no longer overshadowed his present. Instead, it had become part of the tapestry of his life, woven into the fabric of who he was now. Ming, thank you, he said, pulling her close as they stepped into their home. For believing in this, for believing in us. Always, she replied, her eyes shimmering with warmth. We'll keep moving forward, together. And as they settled into their evening routine, Chen realized that while he could never change the events that had transpired, he had discovered something far more valuable, the power of love, of community, and the unbreakable bonds that connected them all. Each moment they embraced, each laugh shared, was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. From that day on, they continued to build living memories, organizing events and inviting families to share their journeys. They created traditions in honor of Lily, celebrating her life with annual picnics where families could come together and remember their loved ones through laughter and storytelling. Chen no longer felt the urge to manipulate time. Instead, he learned to cherish it. Every moment became precious, every day an opportunity to create memories that would last far beyond their fleeting nature. One summer evening, as they prepared for another picnic in the park, Chen glanced at Ming, watching her prepare sandwiches with a joyful efficiency that made him smile. He felt a surge of gratitude for her unwavering support and love. "Are you ready for another adventure?" he asked, his eyes sparkling. "Always," she replied, her laughter ringing out like music. "Especially if there's ice cream involved." As they loaded the car with food, blankets, and a small banner that read "Living Memories," Chen felt a sense of joy wash over him. They were embarking on a new chapter, one filled with hope and the promise of connection. Arriving at the park, he was greeted by familiar faces and newcomers, all of whom shared a bond forged through shared experiences. The sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, and laughter filled the air. Chen looked around at the gathering, the warmth of community wrapping around him like a comforting embrace. This was life, unpredictable, messy, and beautiful. In the end, it wasn't about trying to rewrite the past but about embracing the present and creating a future filled with love and remembrance. As the evening unfolded, stories were shared, memories recounted, and connections deepened. In those moments, Chen understood that while time could not be reversed, it could be celebrated. And as the stars began to twinkle above, he whispered a silent thank you to the universe, knowing that, while he might never fully understand the mysteries of time, he had finally found peace within it.